I thought I knew my husband. 7 years of marriage, a beautiful home, 2 kids, date nights every Friday, the kind of relationship people envied. But on a Tuesday afternoon in March, while putting away laundry, I found something in his drawer that made my blood run cold. My panties, not just one pair, 7 pairs, hidden beneath his socks. And that discovery was just the beginning of a nightmare I never saw coming. If you want to hear more shocking true stories like this one, hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel. We share real stories from real people every single week, and you won't want to miss what happens next in this absolutely insane tale. Now let me tell you exactly what I found, and how my entire world fell apart in the space of a single afternoon. The discovery. My name is Jessica, and I'm 34 years old. My husband Mark is 36. We met in college, dated for 3 years, got married right after graduation. It was the kind of love story people write movies about. He was funny, attentive, successful. He worked in finance, made good money, and never forgot our anniversary. We had 2 beautiful daughters, ages 5 and 3. Life was good, or so I thought. That Tuesday started like any other. I dropped the girls at school and daycare, came home, did some work from my home office, then started on the household chores. Laundry was my afternoon task. I was folding Mark's clothes, putting them away in his dresser, when I noticed something odd in his sock drawer. A flash of purple fabric. I pulled at it, thinking maybe one of my items had gotten mixed in with his clothes. But when I pulled it out, my stomach dropped. It was my underwear. A purple lace pair I'd been looking for weeks ago. I thought I'd lost it at the gym, or maybe it had fallen out of the laundry basket. But here it was, hidden in Mark's drawer. My first thought was confusion. Why would he have my underwear? Then I thought maybe it was some kind of romantic gesture, something weird, but ultimately harmless. Maybe he missed me when he traveled for work and kept something of mine close. But then I started actually looking through the drawer, and I found more. A red pair, a black pair, a blue pair with white polka dots, 5 more pairs total, all hidden beneath his socks, carefully folded and placed at the back of the drawer. My hands were shaking. This wasn't romantic. This was strange. This was secretive. This was something he'd deliberately hidden from me. I sat on the edge of our bed, holding the underwear in my hands, trying to make sense of it. And then a thought occurred to me that made my skin crawl. Was he wearing them? Was my husband wearing my underwear? The thought seemed absurd. Mark was masculine. He liked sports. He drank beer with his buddies. He'd never shown any interest in anything remotely like this. But people hide things. People have secrets. And clearly, Mark had secrets I knew nothing about. I decided to search more thoroughly. If he was hiding my underwear, what else might he be hiding? I went through every drawer in his dresser. Nothing unusual. Then his closet. Nothing. Then I checked under the bed, in shoe boxes, in the pockets of coats he rarely wore. Still, nothing. Then I remembered his home office. He kept it locked when he wasn't using it, claiming he had sensitive work documents. I'd never questioned it before. We trusted each other. But now, trust felt like a luxury I could no longer afford. I found the key where he always kept it, in a kitchen drawer beneath the takeout menus. I unlocked his office door and went inside. What I found in his office. Mark's office was neat, organized, exactly what you'd expect from someone in finance. A large desk with a computer, filing cabinets, bookshelves with professional books and framed photos of our family. Everything looked normal. I started with the desk drawers. The top drawer had pens, paper clips, the usual office supplies. The second drawer had files related to work. The third drawer was locked. A locked drawer inside a locked office. My heart was pounding now. I searched for a key, checking obvious places. Under the desk pad, taped beneath the drawer, in a pencil holder. Nothing. Then I had an idea. I went back to the bedroom and checked Mark's nightstand. In the back of the drawer, beneath some old magazines and a book he'd been meaning to read for years, I found a small key. Back in the office, the key fit perfectly. I opened the drawer with hands that were shaking so badly I could barely turn the lock. Inside was a laptop I'd never seen before. Not his work laptop, a personal one. And beneath it, a small black notebook. I opened the notebook first. The pages were filled with Mark's handwriting, dates, times, and descriptions that made me feel sick. March 8th, wore the purple ones under my suit. Nobody knew. Felt powerful. March 15th, conference call from home. Jessica upstairs with the kids. Wore the red lace. The secret made the boring meeting bearable. March 22nd, business trip to Chicago. Packed 3 pairs. Wore them in meetings. The thrill is incredible. Page after page. Months of entries. My husband had been wearing my underwear for at least 6 months, maybe longer, under his business suits, during work meetings, on business trips. While I was in the house with our children, I felt violated. These were my clothes. He'd taken them without asking. He'd hidden this entire part of himself from me. But more than that, I felt confused. Why my underwear specifically? Why the secrecy? If he wanted to wear women's underwear, we could have talked about it. I would have tried to understand. But this sneaking around, this stealing my clothes, this felt wrong on a level I couldn't articulate. Then I opened the laptop. It wasn't password protected, which surprised me until I realized he probably never expected me to find it. The browser history told a story that made everything so much worse. The double life. The browser history went back 2 years. 2 entire years of a secret life I knew nothing about. There were forums. Online communities for men who wore women's underwear. That part, honestly, I could have handled. If Mark had told me he had this interest, if we'd talked about it like adults, I would have tried to be understanding. But what I found next showed this was about so much more than just wearing underwear. There were chat logs, hundreds of conversations with someone named Alex. The early messages were about the underwear wearing, sharing experiences, talking about the thrill of the secret. But the conversations had evolved into something else entirely. They were flirting, explicitly, sending photos, though thankfully not inappropriate ones in the messages I could see, making plans to meet up, and according to the chat logs, they had met multiple times, in hotels, during Mark's supposed business trips. I read message after message, each one feeling like a knife in my chest. Mark, can't wait to see you next week. I've been thinking about you constantly. Alex, same here. I bought something special to wear for you. Mark, you're going to drive me crazy. Jessica has no idea. She thinks I'm at a client meeting. Alex, does that make it more exciting? The secret? Mark, everything about you makes it exciting. I felt like I couldn't breathe. My husband was having an affair, but I still didn't know if Alex was a man or a woman. The name was ambiguous. The conversation style didn't make it clear. But did it matter? Affair was affair. Betrayal was betrayal. I kept reading. The messages went back months. They'd met at least 5 times that I could confirm from the chat logs. Hotels in different cities where Mark had supposedly been on business. They'd been planning another meeting for next month. And then I found photos. Not inappropriate ones, but selfies Alex had sent. And I realized Alex was a man. A younger man, probably mid-20s, with styled hair and delicate features. My husband was having an affair with a man. My husband, who I'd been intimate with just days ago, who I'd built a life with, who I'd never suspected for a moment might be attracted to men, was having a secret relationship with a man he'd met online. I don't know how long I sat in that office, reading through messages, trying to process what I was learning. It felt like my entire marriage had been a lie. Not just the recent months, but all of it. Had Mark ever really been attracted to me? Or had I been a cover, a way to have the normal life he thought he was supposed to want, while secretly pursuing what he actually desired? The questions swirled in my head until I felt dizzy. I needed answers. But more than that, I needed to figure out what to do next. Confronting the truth. I took photos of everything with my phone. The notebook entries, the chat logs, everything. I needed evidence, though I wasn't sure yet what I'd do with it. Then I carefully put everything back exactly as I'd found it. I locked the drawer, returned the key to Mark's nightstand, locked the office, and put that key back in the kitchen. Then I sat on the couch and waited for Mark to come home. The hours passed in a blur. I picked up the girls from school and daycare, going through the motions like a robot, made them snacks, supervised homework, put on a movie, all while my mind raced with what I'd discovered and how I was going to handle it. When Mark walked through the door at 6:30, briefcase in hand, smile on his face, calling out his usual greeting, I felt a rage I'd never experienced before. This man, this stranger I'd been living with, had lied to me for years, had stolen from me, had betrayed me in ways I was still trying to fully comprehend. "We need to talk," I said. My voice was surprisingly calm. His smile faded. "What's wrong?" "The girls are watching a movie. Let's go to the bedroom." He followed me upstairs, confusion on his face. Once we were in the bedroom with the door closed, I pulled out my phone and showed him one of the photos I'd taken, the notebook page where he'd written about wearing my underwear to a work meeting. The color drained from his face. "Jessica, I can explain." "Can you?" My voice was still eerily calm. "Can you explain why you've been stealing my underwear? Why you've been wearing it for months without telling me? Why you have a secret laptop and a secret life I knew nothing about?" He sat down on the bed, his face in his hands. "How did you find that? That's what you're worried about? How I found it? Not that I found it at all? No, I never wanted you to know. I never wanted to hurt you. Too late for that." I showed him another photo, a screenshot of his conversation with Alex. "Want to explain this too?" He looked at the photo and started crying, actual tears running down his face. And part of me, the part that had loved this man for over a decade, wanted to comfort him. But a larger part was just angry. He didn't get to cry. He didn't get to be the victim here. "Who is Alex?" I asked. "Someone I met online, in a forum, for people like me, people like you." "What does that mean, Mark? Help me understand what the hell is going on." He took a deep breath. "I've known since I was a teenager that I was different. I liked wearing women's clothes. It made me feel, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt right. But I grew up in a conservative family. There was no way I could ever admit that. So I hid it. I dated women. I acted the way I was supposed to act. And me?" I asked. "What was I? A cover story?" "No." He looked up at me, and the anguish on his face looked genuine. "I loved you. I do love you. I wanted a normal life. A wife, kids, a house. I wanted all of that. But you also wanted something else." He nodded miserably. "I thought I could suppress it. I thought being married, having a family, it would be enough. And for a while it was. But then I found these forums online. I saw other people like me, people who understood. And I started experimenting again. Just wearing underwear under my regular clothes at first. It was such a small thing, but it made me feel like myself in a way I hadn't felt in years. So you stole mine. I'm sorry. I know that was wrong. I couldn't buy my own. What if someone saw? What if you found a receipt? So I took yours. Just a few pairs. I thought you wouldn't notice." "I noticed," I said coldly. "But that still doesn't explain Alex." He was quiet for a long moment. "Alex understands me in a way nobody else does. We started talking online, just about the clothes at first. But then we realized we had more in common. And we started talking about other things. Our lives, our struggles. And then you started an affair. I never meant for it to happen. But it did happen. Multiple times. In hotels. While you lied to me about business trips. Jessica, please." He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "I know I've messed up. I know I've hurt you. But I'm still the same person you married." "No," I said firmly. "You're not. The person I married was honest. The person I married didn't steal from me. The person I married didn't have secret affairs. You're a stranger. I don't know you at all. What are you going to do?" he asked quietly. That was the question, wasn't it? What was I going to do? The aftermath. I didn't have an answer that night. I told Mark to sleep in the guest room. I lay in our bed, in the dark, trying to process everything. My marriage was over. That much was clear. But what did that mean for our girls? For our life? For everything we'd built together? The next morning I called my sister, told her everything. She listened without interrupting. And when I finished, she said simply, "Come stay with me, you and the girls. Take some time to figure things out." I packed bags for me and the girls. Told them we were going to stay with Aunt Rachel for a little while. They were excited. They loved their aunt. They had no idea their world was falling apart. Mark watched from the doorway as I loaded the car. "How long will you be gone?" he asked. "I don't know. Can we talk? Can we try to work through this?" "I don't know if there's anything to work through, Mark. You've been lying to me for years. Maybe our entire marriage. I don't even know who you are. I'm still me. he said desperately. I'm still your husband. I'm still their father. Are you? I asked. Because the Mark I thought I knew would never do what you did. So either that Mark never existed, or you've changed into someone I don't recognize. Either way, I need time away from you. I've been at my sister's for 3 weeks now. Mark calls every day, sends texts, wants to talk, wants to explain more, wants to fix things. But I don't know if they can be fixed. I've talked to a therapist. She's helping me process the betrayal, the lies, the violation of trust. She says that Mark's exploration of his gender identity isn't inherently bad or wrong, but the way he did it, stealing from me, lying to me, having an affair, those are choices he made that hurt me. His identity issues don't excuse his behavior. I've talked to a lawyer too, explored my options. New York is a no-fault divorce state, which makes things simpler in some ways. But there are still custody issues to consider, financial matters to resolve, a whole life to untangle. The hardest part is explaining to our daughters why Daddy isn't with us. I've kept it vague. Mommy and Daddy need some time apart. They sense something is wrong, but they're too young to understand the complexity of what's happened. Mark wants to go to couples counseling. He says he's willing to stop seeing Alex. He says he'll be completely honest from now on. He says he wants to save our marriage, but I don't know if I want to save it. How do you rebuild trust that's been shattered so completely? How do you look at someone every day knowing they've lied to you for years? How do you stay married to someone who might not even be attracted to women, who might have been using you as a cover for who they really are? And what about his needs? Even if we stayed together, even if I forgave him, he'd still be hiding part of himself. The part that wants to wear women's clothes, the part that's attracted to men. Could he suppress that forever? Should he have to? Would I be asking him to live a lie just to preserve our marriage? These are the questions I wrestle with every night, and I don't have answers. What I've learned looking back now, I wonder if there were signs I missed. Times when Mark seemed distant, moments when his reactions seemed off, business trips that seemed more frequent than necessary. But I think the truth is that he was just really good at hiding, and I was really good at trusting. I've learned that you can love someone deeply and still not really know them, that people are capable of maintaining secrets for years, that the person sleeping next to you every night might be someone completely different than who you think they are. I've learned that betrayal isn't just about physical infidelity. It's about lies. It's about hiding. It's about making major decisions that affect both of you without giving your partner any voice or choice. Mark's exploration of his identity was his journey, but the way he went about it affected me too, and he never gave me the chance to be part of that conversation. I've learned that gender and sexuality are complex, that people struggle with identity in ways I never had to consider. And while I want to be understanding and compassionate about those struggles, I also have to protect myself and my children. Mark's journey of self-discovery doesn't negate the harm he's caused. Most importantly, I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. 3 weeks ago, I thought my world had ended, and in some ways it did. The life I thought I had is gone, but I'm still here. I'm still functioning. I'm still taking care of my kids. I'm still moving forward, even when I don't know where forward leads. Where things stand now, Mark and I are separated, officially. He's still living in our house. I'm still at my sister's, though I know I can't stay here forever. I need to make more permanent decisions about housing, about custody, about the divorce that seems increasingly inevitable. We've agreed to tell people we're working through some issues without going into details. I'm not ready for everyone to know the truth. Maybe someday I will be, but right now the humiliation is too fresh. The wound is too raw. My family knows. They've been supportive, though my parents are still struggling to understand. They keep asking if there's a way to save the marriage. They don't want their grandchildren growing up in a broken home. But I'm not sure our home was ever whole to begin with. It was built on lies, on one person's truth and another person's deception. Mark's family doesn't know yet. He's afraid to tell them, afraid of their reaction. And part of me thinks good. He should face consequences for his choices. But another part of me feels sad for him. He's clearly struggling with his identity, clearly dealing with shame and fear that probably go back to his childhood. That doesn't excuse what he did to me, but it does make me understand that this situation has no villains and victims, just hurt people hurting each other. I don't know what happens next. I don't know if we'll divorce or try to reconcile. I don't know if Mark will fully embrace his identity or continue hiding. I don't know if I'll ever trust anyone the same way again. I don't know if my daughters will understand someday, or if this will scar them in ways I can't predict. What I do know is this: I found my underwear in my husband's drawer. That discovery led me to truths I never imagined. Those truths destroyed my marriage, but maybe, in some strange way, they've freed both of us from living a lie. Mark can stop pretending to be someone he's not, and I can stop being married to someone who wasn't honest about who they were. The road ahead is unclear, but at least now I'm walking it with open eyes, aware of reality instead of living in a comfortable delusion. That's worth something. That's worth a lot, actually. And maybe someday, when the hurt isn't so fresh and the anger has faded, Mark and I will be able to have an honest conversation about what our marriage really was, about what we both needed that we couldn't give each other, about how to co-parent our girls through this mess, about how to move forward as separate people instead of a couple built on secrets. But that's someday, not today. Today, I'm just surviving, just getting through each day, just trying to figure out who I am now that everything I thought I knew has been proven wrong. If you've made it this far in my story, thank you for listening. If you're going through something similar, know that you're not alone. Betrayal comes in many forms. Secrets destroy in countless ways. But we survive. We move forward. We build new lives from the ruins of old ones. And we learn that sometimes finding the truth, no matter how painful, is better than living a beautiful lie.